Hi, Muse. I am on edge right now, and I apologize for it, but we are this close to the election, and I'm not going to talk about it, but I am on edge. So I'm going to mention something really fast, Muse, because I think it'll excite you, but I'm going to be really vague about it because I can't really give much away. But I have something in the works that has to do with you, Muse, that I think is going to be really exciting. And like I said, I can't really say anything about it because, people steal ideas. Let's just be honest. But this is what I have in the works is I don't know if I can pull it off, but I'm going to do my best. And it is going to be a major undertaking. I wish I could talk to you about it. I will talk to you about it later when it's actually happening. But until then, just know that there is something ridiculously cool in the works. Speaking of ridiculously cool, I was going to talk to you today, Muse, about writing horror, but I was inspired by something else. And I thought I would talk about it because I think it's important to talk about this particular subject. Okay, so there is a theater company. Okay, we all know that during this pandemic that all theaters have had to evolve or die. And many of them are offering streaming versions of their shows. In fact, I was just in a streaming version of The Mystery of Irma Vep. It was a lot of fun. It was exhausting, but it was worth it. And there's another theater that I know of that is doing. They have a really interesting thing that they're doing, and it's all one-person shows, their entire season, and they're all streaming. And they've decided to go the one-person route because it's safer to rehearse that way with just a director and one other actor, and it's less expensive. But anyway, so the artistic director wanted to do a one-person show. This person wanted to actually star in the final one-person show of the season, and the director knew what they wanted. They wanted the show to be about a particular person. I'm not going to give anything away yet. And they were having trouble finding a script that wasn't pedantic or outdated or just wasn't boring. I found out about it and I reached out to the director. I said, let me give it a go. And the director said, sure, why not? Now, I should say this, that the one-person show that they wanted was about a person that I don't know a whole lot about. I know about the person's writing. Okay, I'll just tell you, because none of this is going to make any sense if I don't tell you. This one-person show is about Oscar Wilde. Now, I know Oscar Wilde's writings. I didn't know a whole lot of his history. But I thought, you know what? I think I'm the person to do this for a few reasons. Number one, it's challenging, and I love a good challenge. And number two, I'm an actor by training. So I know what works on stage as an actor. And I know what I would want to dive into as an actor. I know what excites me as an actor. And I know what bores me as an actor. And I know that this particular person is this artistic director loves Oscar Wilde. So I knew that when I threw my hat into the ring for this, that I was biting off quite a lot. And I wasn't quite sure if I could succeed at it. But I wanted to try. So here's what happened. I didn't know how. I've written stage scripts before, and usually I'm writing scripts of stuff that I'm creating, that the universe within the realm of this play is of my design and creation. So I am the source of everything for that. This time around, I'm not. This time around, I have a character that has an entire canon of work that people know. And he is famous for his wit and his language. He's famous for a lot of things. So I didn't know. I had some sort of idea of what it could be. But what I wound up doing was, as soon as I said that I would try it, I started reading De Profundis by Oscar Wilde. And as soon as I started writing that, it dawned on me what this one-person show needed to be. Where it needed to be set, and what the mindset of Oscar Wilde was. And I dove in. And immediately, the first thing I realized, that the biggest challenge of this script was going to be me as an author matching the tone and style of Oscar Wilde as an author. Now, you can ask any editor that's ever worked on my stuff, and they will tell you that I tend to write from a literary perspective anyway. I have actually had editors say, you need to tone down the literary in this work to make it more accessible to modern readers. So I thought that I could handle this. I was pretty confident that I could handle this. Now, I started putting things together and writing bridges and all this stuff. And I realized that there were moments, if you read back through it, that if you didn't know who wrote what, you would probably think that Oscar Wilde wrote this whole thing. Which I think, it's just my perspective or opinion, I think I've succeeded at that part. Now, what I did, I told the artistic director, I said, I'm going to write a few pages of this. And I'm going to send it to you. And you tell me if it stinks or if it's going in the right direction. And I'm going to tell you right now, in all my years as a writer, I have never been so nervous about submitting a piece of work to somebody in my life. This was it. Not make or break, but this was that moment where I said, holy crap. This is going to be a very defining moment for me as an author. If I can pull this off, then I can look I can look imposter syndrome in the eye and say, go straight to hell. Now that doesn't mean that my ego has been inflated or that I have lost all of my insecurities and have gained this otherworldly confidence. That's not the case. But what I knew, that if I could pull this off, it would tell me that I knew what I was doing. If those 40 plus books that I have published to date have not told me that I know what I'm doing, then this will. Why? Well, simply because I am having to match the style and tone of a very famous writer. Now, you give me a modern writer, any modern writer that is alive today and writing right now, And I could probably pretty close match their style and tone. Pretty easily. You give me Oscar Wilde or you give me Shakespeare, it's going to be a bit more of a challenge. And by a bit more, I mean an incredibly big challenge. And the second I wrote that first page of text for this one person show, I knew how big of a challenge this was going to be. And I was, let me just tell you this. The last time I wrote a full length stage script, it took me 2 weeks to write. I have already put a week into this, and I have 11 pages to show. And that means I have about 80 pages left to go. So I've got to really bust hump on this to get it finished. Because remember, the artistic director who's going to perform in this has to memorize it, to rehearse it, and then film it. So I have to follow his deadlines. I have to be kind to him. I have to get this done so he could have plenty of time to work on the script. So anyway, I gave it to him and I heard nothing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And finally, yesterday, I heard from him. And his first thing was, this is great. It's exactly what I was looking for. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh boy. Yes. Now, thing is as soon as I sent it to him, I went back to Fear 3 and started writing Fear 3. And now I've got to put Fear 3 aside and I've really got to get this thing written. And it's slow going. Simply because of the nature of what I'm writing with this, how I'm writing this book, this play. The source material I'm pulling from. It is a slog. Now, it's a slog that I'm enjoying. And trust me, and this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about this, is because I wanted to impart upon other authors that challenges like this are the things that can not only brilliantly and impeccably tell you that yes, you know what you're doing, but they make you better. You can write in your own voice, which you should, and you should spend the time necessary to find your voice, but you can write 100 books in your voice. And yes, hopefully with each book that you write in your voice, it improves on the previous one. But writing in your own voice is never going to challenge you like trying to write in someone else's voice. Now, I'm not telling you to write a book in someone else's voice. Do not do that. Do not. Unless you're, I don't know, writing a book about Shakespeare and you're writing a fictional book about Shakespeare and his youth or whatever, and you need to capture his voice. Okay, yes. But don't say all of a sudden say, I'm going to write a horror novel in the voice of Stephen King. No. Mr. King spent years developing his own voice. Let him have it. He's earned it. Of course he's earned it. So spend the time to develop your own voice and use your voice. But challenge yourself. And I mean really, really challenge yourself. Because here's the thing, and I've said this before. The shorter your story gets, the harder it is to write. Monologues are one of the most difficult things to write. 10-minute plays are difficult to write. One-act plays are difficult to write. Short stories are difficult to write. Novellas can be difficult to write. Full-length plays, not so difficult. Full-length novels, not so difficult. So what I'm writing already has inherent challenges. It's a one-person show, so it's shorter than a regular show. And since it's a one-person show, there are no other characters to bounce off. There's no dialogue, except internal dialogue with the character in his head, talking to himself, whatever. But you don't have that variation in tone and character, right? And then you already have all this melange of challenge here. So what we're going to do is we're going to dump a big gumbo of challenge on top of that by me writing in the voice of Oscar Wilde. What the hell? Challenge! But I'm going to get it done. And by God, it's going to be good. I'm going to make sure that it's good. Because I respect this artistic director quite a lot. And I respect the theater company that he runs quite a bit. So, I've always wanted my work to be on their stage. But I thought that it would be my work. And only my work. I didn't think it would be, let's just dump a big old pot of challenge into the stew and see what we come up with. And let's make sure that the writer can, look into this big old pot of stew and go, oh, it's like gazing into the maw of hell. But hey, like I said, I love a good challenge. So, writers, challenge yourself. When you have some downtime between novels, find a way to challenge yourself, to grow, because you're not going to grow if you don't challenge yourself. And I have taken on the Mac Daddy of challenges. Fingers crossed that it succeeds. Anyway, I would say that next time we'll talk about horror, but it'll be after Halloween, and no one wants to talk about horror after Halloween. That's not true. But who knows what'll happen between now and then, Muse. I know one thing that's going to happen between now and then. And again, it's another big old fingers crossed moment. That's all I got today, Muse. I hope that you have a wonderful Halloween. And I hope that you go vote, Muse. Go vote. I don't know if Muses can vote. But if you Muses can vote, go do it. And you damn well better vote for the right person. Because if you don't, I will never again say that you are awesome.